Hello everyone, so I'm very pleased to have this edition of the Global Trade Talk series and have with me these two gentlemen. Thank you, Wilfried and Sean, two trade experts with a vast experience will be telling us how to navigate this international trade and more specifically about African trade.
So my name is Wilfried Giner. I've been working for Atradius since almost 25 years now. I started as a financial expert and now I'm leading the global French team, which is a business unit in charge of international business and financial institution, in particular in Africa with MCB.
Thank you. Sean?
Yeah, very pleased to be here. Thank you for having me. My name's Sean Edwards. I'm chairman of ITFA, the International Trade and Forfeiting Association. We're one of the largest trade associations in the world, around 400 members in over 40 countries, and we cover a very wide base of participants within the trade finance scene. So I'm very pleased to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. As you know, the world trade is being a bit pushed on various fronts. We talk about a trade war. There's a lot of uncertainty. So what's your take on it, Wilfried?
Yeah, it's not an easy question, but you are right, Arnaud. I think the word which is important to keep in mind is uncertainty. Today, situation is changing every day, and it's really hard to make a scenario and to assess the impact. What we know is that we are in front of a change of paradigm, and the companies will have to adapt. But anyway, I think that there are still some opportunity, in particular in Africa, because we do believe that Africa is not the targeted country, and maybe within the war which has just started, there could be some great opportunity for doing business in Africa.
Thank you. And so,
yeah, looking at it from a sort of a bit of a wider perspective, I think the acronym which I just recently learned was VUCA. Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. But none of those contain the word war or guerre or conflict. I mean, we talk about it as a trade war, a tariff war, because that's the way people have chosen to characterize it. I do think, as Wilfried said, there are opportunities. It's a change of paradigm, certainly for the moment. It's always difficult when you answer a question like that because you wonder if this is going to be viewed next week, is everything will have changed by the end of this week, because that's the nature of that man in the White House. So there's a lot of uncertainty. I think the reaction of a lot of the markets has been, we need to see where we get to. And I think certainly if you look at trade finance more broadly, so across the whole spectrum of ITFA members, there isn't fear. There is obviously people having to react to VUCA, right, to the volatility. Do you insure somebody? Do you finance this particular importer or exporter? Because next week everything might have changed and we don't know how the tariffication is going to work out. Everything with Trump is very transactional. If you look at Africa, for example, he has talked about what he can get out of AGOA. The AGOA negotiations are on at the moment. He's talked about what he can get out of that. There's always something for something, and we shouldn't be surprised at that as bankers, as lawyers, as insurers. There's something for something. We're not in a charity. The question is, are we going to have to give the US too much? When you look at the US as a portion of world trade, it's only around 11%. The big thing, of course, is the dollar, right? Global trade uses the dollar. That's the big thing. What I would say is there's no fear. I wouldn't necessarily call it a war. I would call it dealing with uncertainty. And I think when you look at the trajectory of trade, it was of global trade, especially goods trade, it was moving upwards very slightly, very much on the flat, but moving up. It's now sort of gone on a holiday while people wait to work out what's going to happen. But personally, I'm very optimistic about what's going to happen. I do think actually the other thing, which I just want to finish a slightly long answer by saying, is that actually the good thing, the positive thing that Trump has had, is that it's forced countries to look at what they can do for themselves. And for Africa, that's tremendous. Intra-African trade really can take off, should take off, has not yet taken off. But AGOA of course helps because that's the US. But actually the real prize is within Africa itself. In Europe, it's made us look a lot at our defence. Without the US, we're having to finance that ourselves. And I think Africa, this is really an opportunity to seize and say, what can we do for ourselves? And there is a tremendous amount there.
Thank you very much for this lovely conversation.